A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. I'm Ritwika Gupta. Tonight's episode will put a spotlight on two distinct industries, manufacturing and retail, with a focus on e-commerce. On the show tonight, I'll be first in conversation with Krishna Dushyant Rana, Chairman and MD of Platinum Industries. In the second segment, a conversation lined up with Gopal Asthana, CEO Tata CLiQ. Krishna, welcome to ET Now, Leaders of Tomorrow. It's a pleasure to be chatting with you today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So I want to begin this interview by asking you to give us an overview of the manufacturing landscape here in India, especially in the context of PVC and CPVC products.
So, if we talk about India, it's basically an agrarian economy, right? So if you see 60 years back, this country was dependent on 90% of the agricultural farming. Now, if you see 60 years later, it is 70% dependent on farming and 30% on the industry. So the products that we manufacture, they are majorly used for farming and, for water applications and for the construction industry. So I think this gives us a big boost to our industry, which is almost a $6.5–7 billion industry, and it gives us a leeway to expand this in this sector as well.
Fantastic. Tell me, what are some of the most pressing challenges that companies operating in this space are facing? And especially if you could talk to us about the regulatory landscape.
Talking about the challenge, the major challenge in India was the mindset, right? So if I take you back 150 years, since 150 years in India, the PVC pipe manufacturing companies, they were using and they were making a PVC pipe with a lead-based product. Now, what is lead? Lead is basically a harmful carcinogenic metal which harms a human body. So when there is a water passing through the pipes, every second or third extraction, there was a leaching of lead inside the water.
Right.
In fact, when we had seen in 2005, the European industry had completely shifted on a green product, mainly lead-free. So we thought of starting a plant in India in 2016, but the biggest challenge was the mindset of the customers, where we made them shift to use a lead-free product.
Sure.
But the demand was not too much when we started. But we were fortunate that the government came out with a regulatory that India has to ban the usage of lead in the piping sectors, and that's where the entire turnaround happened. And Indian industry has shifted towards more usage of lead-free products. So that is giving us a boost, in terms of shifting the base for making a more greener product in the country.
And tell me, how did you get into this business? What is the story?
So I love to answer this. Since 30 years, more than 30 years, I think my father, he started the business in 1985.
Yeah.
They were majorly into trading of chemicals. And I was I was not very happy with the trading business because I couldn't foresee my future in that, because I thought that if it's a manufacturing industry, it's your own product rather than selling someone else's product. So that's where we thought that we should get into manufacturing. And somehow I was fortunate. I met Dr. Schiller, who was the world's best scientist, and somehow we collaborated in 2016. And that's where we got into manufacturing, and the turnaround for the company happened.
Right. Now tell me, in terms of staying ahead of the curve, amongst intense competition, what roles do, R&D, innovation, quality control play for a company like Platinum Industries?
So for us, chemistry plays a very important role. Like if you talk about R&D, without R&D, the company is nothing, because every time there has to be an innovation in the industry to stay ahead of the curve. So if you talk about R&D development, we have 25 to 30 people working in our R&D center, where we have divided the R&D center into 3 different parts. Like one is the chemical synthesis, where we learn about the synthesis of the new product developments, and then we penetrate those products to the market, and then the commercialization happens. And then there is an application lab where we have the machines of the customers, within our company, and we study the products, and then we supply to customers. So we have an end-to-end R&D. We are, without R&D, this industry cannot function.
Right, and also with the growing, demand for eco-friendly and more sustainable products, talk to us about, some of the opportunities that you see, for a company like yours.
So, if you talk about the opportunities, the biggest opportunity for us is the industry that is shifting from lead to lead-free.
Right.
Okay, going more on a greener usage of greener products. The government is also taking a great initiative in having a Jal Jeevan mission. There has to be a tap water to every household in the country. So that's what is driving the entire industry. And that's where the platinum is leading to excel.
Right. Krishna, our theme for the show this season is powering entrepreneurs for the global stage, because we think that a lot of companies in India are aspiring to go global, expand their markets, and so have you. So talk to us about, that process. But in terms of, what are some of the challenges when you're looking at expanding globally, in terms of really understanding global markets, and also just by way of the supply chain management, how are you tackling that?
Because one big challenge that we face is the cross culture, that we have. Like, for example, Egypt is more of an Arabic culture. India, you have an Indian culture.
Yeah.
I think for any entrepreneur, the most easiest thing is the adaptability, right?
Sure.
So a lot of people, they say that, government ka budget acha hoga, nahi hoga. There is no good budget or bad budget. It's just the adaptability an entrepreneur has to a system. Right. And this is what I believe in, that, when we go global, right, we have to adapt to the culture. And what do I mean by adaptability? There are so many challenges. Like, if one of the challenge in Egypt, okay, the devaluation was the biggest challenge. And how do we protect ourselves is very important, in terms of understanding that, okay, if there is a devaluation, how do you protect the currency? How do you protect your profits? How do you be there, right? So because we are in special economic zone, we are allowed 70% exports, 30% to the domestic market. So over here, we are safeguarding ourselves in terms of devaluation. This is the one challenge that is there. And, in fact, before going to Egypt, we gave to Grant Thornton to study that, probably we want to invest in many countries. So we had Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Dubai and Egypt. Please tell us that, being an Indian, for us, the biggest task is to have an operational attractiveness, right?
Sure.
So do we have that in Egypt when we go global? Do we have that leeway in terms of saving money and making good profits over there? We understood that Egypt basically set up in the center of the world. We are having a better operational attractiveness as compared to any manufacturing industry set up outside Egypt, right? Why? One is because the labor cost is so low over there. The electricity cost is almost 1/3 of India. So there are so many different benefits. So if you take care of that, I think I am somewhere, maintaining my internal rate of return for the company.
Right. So what advice would you have for entrepreneurs who are aiming to go global from local? Is there a checklist or like 2-3 definite factors that they should keep in mind?
I think there should be no checklist for going global. There has to be only one thing, that's courage. Okay, and that's the only thing that any entrepreneur should have, that the courage should be built to go global and make our country proud.
Fantastic. Now tell us about the whole IPO process. What led to the decision that you want to go public? Tell us about all of that.
So it was a simple idea of expansion that, we wanted to build the largest capacity in India. We wanted to be the global leader in the products that we, aspire to be in. So I think that was the only thought process that led us to go IPO. Of course, there were many debates happening that, whether we should take a debt route or a equity route, because people say that equity route is very expensive. But I think that equity was the easiest thing that, we could go in for through an IPO and, make our expansion plan successful.
Right. These elements, IPO, valuation, the unicorn status, they have become some sort of metrics for success, especially for startups, MSMEs. Do you think these are the right metrics?
I don't think so as the right metric at all, because for me, I never looked at the valuation part, because that was not the idea, because I want to get into an IPO, I want to build a valuation. That's not the idea. The idea was very simple, that we want to become a global leader in the manufacturing sector and the products that we are dealing in. So valuation is just a byproduct of that.
Fantastic. So then tell us, Krishna, what is the road ahead for Platinum Industries? Where do you see the company heading in the next 5 to 7 years?
So when you talk about next to 5 to 7 years, if I talk about my competition or the peers in the industry, I have seen that, since more than 200 years, the companies are present in this industry and we are just 10, 7, 8 years old. And when we study the competition, we understand that they have grown vertically. Okay,
Sure.
so when we are in the polymer industry, the plastic industry, so they have been focusing only on one polymer. But over here, we are as a company, we are trying to grow horizontally and not vertically. So
Sure.
there are amazing plans for the company way ahead, and we want to be the global leader in the products that we are in.
And before I wrap up, just one last question: are there any trends that you are excited about in this industry in totality?
So talking about the trend, again, the innovation is the role play that we do, that we are trying to innovate in terms of having new products in the market for new set of, industries. So that's what the driving factor for us.
And technology as well is going to play a
It's
crucial
innovation,
role.
it's all
right?
about technologies. For us, the technology is more about chemistry.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Krishna, for speaking with us. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. In this segment, we explore the strategies for navigating India's evolving e-commerce and retail landscape. In conversation now with Gopal Asthana, CEO Tata CLiQ. Well, thank you, Gopal, for joining us today on ET Now Leaders of Tomorrow.
Thank you for having me here.
I want to begin by asking you about India's e-commerce industry. As the Indian e-commerce industry evolves, what are the unique opportunities do you see for platforms like Tata CLiQ in a diverse and highly competitive market?
In last few years, the Indian e-commerce sector has seen a massive growth. Right? One of the studies say that Indian e-commerce sector will touch a number of $325 billion by 2030. Some more data points which are so astonishing: the total internet user base in India is close to about 700 million, right? Which is the second largest base in this country. And one of the other studies also say that India will become the third largest market in the world by 2030. So with so much happening in the overall e-commerce era, there are quite a few opportunities which are there for Tata CLiQ. Let me start with the first one. One is to bring a lot of partnerships in India, right? That means we work with international brands, we work with national brands, we resonate what customer needs. The second thing is about getting the whole personalization. I think personalization is one of the most important thing in e-commerce sector. Unless you understand your customer better, it is very, very difficult, for you to make him or her come back again. After that, see, there are 2-3 new consumer cohorts, which have started coming up, or rather they have come up. Now, one of that is the non-metro customer. This non-metro customer, has started becoming a huge customer of e-commerce. One, because, they are not able to reach the best of the malls. And two, their disposable income has become higher. And lastly, about affluent customers. So there are customers who are affluent, and there are customers, who are becoming affluent. So this, the middle class of India, which is going up. And Tata CLiQ Luxury is one of the most pioneers, kind of e-commerce app, which caters to the requirement of these luxury customers. And we look forward to have a very, strong mix of Gen Z, millennials, and to some extent, a few other Gen Grey into our overall mix of the customers.
And in an era of omni-channel retail, what are the key pillars for building a successful and sustainable retail and e-commerce business that caters to both digital and physical touchpoints?
So see, first of all, it's very important that the brands have a very consistent offering to the customer, right? Now today's customer keeps on moving between physical store, retail store, e-commerce app, social media, right? And they keep interacting with the brands at various places. So it's very important for the brands to ensure that they keep the price parity, they keep the product parity, right? And they give a similar experience to the customer at each of these interactive places. Second is about using a lot of personalization again, because the more you know about the customer, the more you know about what he or she is going to buy, what he or she is going to like. The last thing is using AI and technology in the entire business. And we try to understand and predict what this customer would need in future. Okay, what is that this customer likes, what is that this customer dislikes, and we plan our inventory in that way. So when you want to work in e-commerce omni-channel, that means you have a store, you have an app, okay, and you have a website. You just need to ensure that the customer goes anywhere, she is able to find the same inventory, okay, at same price.
Now I understand Tata CLiQ Luxury has launched a new report at the Lux Life Edition 4. Can you talk to us about the 2 to 3 key findings perhaps?
Basically, Lux Life Edition 4 has tried to dwell more into what is happening in the industry, how consumers are changing, how the whole industry has changed, how the trends are shaping up. Yeah. So quite a few important trends have come up. One of this is very clearly about the way the customer want to be treated, right? So whether it is URL or IRL, right? So it's not only digital, but it is digital with human touch. So that is coming out in a big way. Second, okay, the way Gen Z and millennials want to behave. Thirdly, okay, what kind of treatment the customers want, right? What they are thinking, what are the kind of sustainability requirement these customers have, how customers want the brands to reflect, okay, or rather resonate their values and beliefs in the overall study is extremely important. So this compilation has about 13 macro trends, 36 voices of industry leaders, and 103 luxury voices. I would rather request you to go through the entire study, which will give you a lot of insight on what is happening in luxury e-commerce in India and how the industry is shaping up.
What consumer behavior trends have you observed in the Indian market shaping the e-commerce and retail sectors?
So see, one of the most important things what we see now, that customer wants convenience, right? And with convenience, they want speed. Second is the customer again is looking forward to have a unified, experience across various digital or physical places where they are meeting the brands. Third, they are becoming very close to thinking about, how they can be more close to sustainability and using sustainability products. So they actually look forward to brands who are, working on this particular cause of sustainability. And lastly, they are also kind of, looking at price parities. They're trying to look at products which are not kind of, fashion laggard, but fashion forward. So together, all this is creating a lot of demand from this particular customer to the e-commerce industry, saying that, you give me the best, right? And you give me at the fastest, and you give me with a lot of convenience.
And what factors are driving the growing demand for luxury products in India?
So see, what has happened again in last, say about 4 or 5 years, the economy of this country has been moving, okay, in the best possible way, right? And there are a lot of people who are kind of moving from middle class to upper middle class, right? So you have HNIs, okay, who are already consuming luxury. And then you have this, consuming class, okay, which is moving up. And they have suddenly started looking for, luxury. And they start with the entry point for luxury. And they are becoming one of the biggest, change leaders in the country, okay, for the entire movement.
Gopal, what roles do smaller businesses and startups play in the luxury ecosystem? Do you see potential for synergy between them and large platforms like Tata CLiQ?
Yeah, I think this is very, very important for the development of the entire industry. See, one of the most important thing with the small players are that they are very close to the fast fashion, right? They understand the trends very fast, and they are the fastest to actually bring something very important, okay, for the customer, which is latest in fashion. So two things are happening. Brands are getting, access to these kind of products which are extremely valuable, and two, these small skilled suppliers are getting, a good standing in the market. Okay, so they have somebody to take them to the entire country or maybe entire world.
And finally, tell us what are your key priorities and strategies for Tata CLiQ to stay ahead in the evolving e-commerce landscape?
See, first thing first, okay, we really want to have a very good assortment, because what works in retail and e-commerce is assortment. So we will try to curate the best of the international brands and local brands, okay, who fits into the Tata CLiQ luxury parameters, and bring that to the customer what they need in terms of fashion. So that again becomes a very important part. Secondly, we just want to ensure that we do a lot of changes in our customer service, because customer service, the after sales customer service and before that makes a lot of impact in your long-term association with the customer. So we're using a lot of tech, okay, to ensure that we get into that area where customers, okay, are really comfortable working with us, and we are able to understand more about this customer. We are also looking to have more partnerships, which are either exclusive or non-exclusive. So bringing a lot of new brands, better assortments, better service, better app navigation, okay, good experience in terms of shopping is something that's our priority.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Gopal.
Thank you so much.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.